Well, hello, everyone. This is Raquel. Welcome. We are in the eclipse season in July of 2019. July 2nd being a total solar eclipse. And then on July 16th, there is a partial lunar eclipse coming. And always during the window in between the eclipses, it's a interesting and powerful cosmic nudge, if you will. We are always in a state of evolution, or at least that's the intention, right? But as we sit in this energy, the truth of the matter is we're either evolving and moving closer or more into alignment with our truth, or we're moving away from that. And staying in status quo actually keeps us in a movement away from alignment, because as we align, as we become more multidimensional, we are being asked to be more conscious throughout our daily lives, more conscious 24/7. And that's even during the dream state, yes, 24/7. But we really are being asked to move into more alignment. And that is always the name of the game when we come to the evolutionary process, because we are multidimensional beings of light who are still operating, many of us still operating from a very human perspective. And so we are in a time right now in the eclipses where there's going to be a lot of course correction. And the course correction really is about moving you into alternate timelines and higher timelines, because the whole idea is to truly be much more conscious throughout our day, truly aligning with higher frequencies, higher trajectories, higher opportunities, and our highest potential. And as we move and get that percentage of our day higher and higher, more percentage, more of being truly conscious, conscious of our decisions, conscious of our thoughts, conscious of what we're putting out into the world instead of on automatic, if you will, the more we truly become aligned with who we are meant to be. And we are perfect in our now beingness. Absolutely. We are perfect no matter what you're doing right now in this now moment. You are divine. But many of us know that we are also here striving to improve. And we're improving not only for ourselves, but for the collective, because as we raise our consciousness, of course, we are holding the blueprint for the totality of humanity to raise their consciousness. And when we talk about the window of time of an eclipse and really allowing us, giving us that extra if you will, to move us into a new timeline, this is truly helping not only ourselves, but all of humanity, because the more we can operate from the higher timelines, the more availability for the rest of the world to begin to operate from that level as well. And when we move into higher timelines, we are literally holding the consciousness for the rest of humanity to follow. This is about being a way shower. This is about forging the path forward. And we do it individually and we do it collectively, because the individual experience always has to happen first. We have to be conscious. We have to be living in those frequencies and tapped into those energies to be able to then participate and create the collective that is moving into the higher trajectory as well. And so this energy right now is really allowing, once again, a cosmic push, because it's self-correcting. Your higher self and source energy is going to very loudly let you know where you're out of alignment, where you're not paying attention. And so as we move through, of course, this 14-day window, It's essential to not discount those inner promptings, to look for the signs, to listen to your inner voice, and make sure you're not on a automatic run of pattern that is constantly doing the same thing, responding the same way, having the same thoughts, the same emotional patterns come up. This is a grand opportunity to really kind of stop them almost dead in their tracks and move into a higher expression. That's what a new timeline is, a higher expression of you. And you leave behind the patterns, the belief systems, the emotions, the patterns that are keeping you locked in that perpetual lower frequency. And so, as we move through this next 2 weeks, it's really imperative that you be uber conscious of what's going on in your brain. What's your emotions? What's your thoughts? How are you feeling? How are you responding? What are you being triggered by? And we've really been in this pattern for, about 6 weeks now, because as we came into June, this whole heightened energy started to really come into the forefront to prepare us. And hopefully you've been course correcting for the last month. And now as we sit in this energy of the eclipse, you're ready to make those changes permanent. We're not going to play this bouncing back and forth and spending, 10% or 20% of our time in the higher timeline and then dropping back into a lower timeline and a lower trajectory. It's really time to push the percentage into a much higher level of consciousness into that higher timeline. And really, that means that you are conscious with yourself. You are living from your heart. You're listening through your heart mechanism. That is the center point. This is the central hub of your experience, and making sure that your heart is truly the guiding force. Making sure that the mind and the heart are coherent, that they are operating at the same level of consciousness, with the heart being the driving force. We really want to make sure that you're operating from that level instead of the old mind games that we've been locked into. And so celebrate this time and really look back over the last month. What changes have you made? And have you stayed consistent? Have there been any starts and stops where you've tried to change a pattern or behavior and you did it pretty well for a week and then you slid back into old patterns? And really pay attention to where your soul and your higher self are trying to nudge, and I would actually say push right now, you into a different way of being, whether that's in action or thought or emotional stability. And your emotional intelligence of being able to really be the observer is key right now as well. Watching what may have set off an emotional trigger for you, being very conscious of that and making a different choice, neutralizing that energy so that you don't have the reaction that you normally would. And I know this is a lot to take in for this particular window of time, but it's all about the mastery that you bring forward. It's all about the consciousness and your willingness to really look at yourself. What is your higher self prompting you to do? Listening to those prompts, and then, of course, the most important, following through with conscious action. And now is the time. Really, if you have put things in motion, make sure you are still in the higher trajectory. And if you haven't yet, it's time to draw a line in the sand and decide that you are going to make these changes. You have the power within you. You know that. It's just the ego wanting to keep the status quo, because change is never easy. Change is always felt with resistance, but change is just one small aspect of really your higher self taking control and leading your life. And so as we move through this window, stay in your heart, pay attention, and take action. Because this window is really setting us up all the way into the energy of the 2020 and beyond.